we have the great opportunity to have former SA to President Muhammadu Buhari talking about Chief Barrister Okoi Obono-Obla. This seems to be a very saddening moment for the Nigerian people. Seems to be panic, in quote, across the country. Where do we go from here?
Yes, that is the essence of terrorism. The terrorists want to cause panic, intimidate the population, so that they erode the confidence of the people in the government of the day, so that they can destabilize the government and topple the government and force their agenda on the people. So, and I have been saying that these issues are not peculiar with Nigeria. We have these challenges in Cameroon, in Chad, in Nigeria, in Mali, Burkina Faso, even Cote d'Ivoire. And all as a result of what happened in 2011 when NATO attacked Libya and toppled Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Yes, and Gaddafi had a very strong army with very sophisticated weaponry. And the population in Libya is so small, so most of the soldiers came from, in the Libyan army, came from the Sahara region, including Nigeria. So when the government was toppled and the country was taken over by factions, armed factions, so these weapons, the very sophisticated weaponry, got into the hands of wrong people, criminals, syndicates, and people, terrorists who have the agenda to destabilize countries. It's an international issue. And the United Nations Security Council is involved in terrorism, and there are a lot of international conventions, have been passed on terrorism. So it's not peculiar with Nigeria. In France is a world power. France had a lot of issues on bordering on terrorism. Even UK, in the US, almost 50,000 persons die every year from gun violence, and it's an aspect of terrorism. The domestic terrorism.
Okay. Before
international terrorism.
Yes, I understand. Let's get back home.
Yes,
we're aware of the proliferation of arms across the sub-Saharan Africa.
Sure.
And the fact remains that there hasn't been any commitment in the area of ensuring that these guns do not get into the hands of illegal people who have these guns with them.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we now take stock of who has gone where?
That is the responsibility of the National Counter-Terrorism Center. Also of all the agencies in Nigeria, law enforcement agencies that are entrusted with the responsibility of fighting terrorism. And there are multiplicities of agencies. I can mention them. The Armed Forces has 3 branches: the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. The EFCC, the Nigerian Police, Nigerian Customs Service, Immigration Service, even Nigerian prisons, National Commission on Prohibition of Trafficking in Human Persons also is involved. ICPC, Civil Defense, National Intelligence Agency, the defense, military intelligence are all involved in the fight against terrorism.
Okay, let's take a look at terrorism in Nigeria.
Yes.
Because that's where we are looking at the moment. There seems to have been the fact that nothing has been done intentionally to curb this. When you look at the level of intelligence and intelligence gathering, and of course ensuring that people do not run themselves out when it has to do with getting information.
Yes.
But because I seem to be a little bit excited about the steps taken by Lagos State Police Command.
Yeah, sure. That is how it should be.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned...
But before you come in, there seems to be the fact that our security agencies and government make announcements of their effort in public domain. And this seems to be to the benefit or the terrorists seem to be the beneficiaries of this information, because I think these informations are not necessary for the ordinary Nigerian.
I agree with you. That's intelligence, and intelligence gathering should not be made public. And one of the problems we have is a lack of coordination among all the law enforcement and security agencies fighting, terrorism. They don't coordinate. There is also inter-agency rivalry. Okay. Okay, because I expect what the police should have done was to share this information with EFCC, Nigerian Navy,
DSS,
Air Force, DSS, you know, National Intelligence Agency, National Commission on Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Nigerian Prison, all the agencies involved. Nigerian Customs in the war against terrorism. I don't know why they should make it public. They ought to have shared information and intelligence.
What do you think government hasn't done?
Yeah,
because
before now,
talking to you, talked about National Counterterrorism Center.
Exactly. That is why
I the gap.
Yeah, that is it. That was one of the the issues.
Okay, we'll come back to it and we'll talk more about it. In case you've just joined us, we've missed your calls. The number to call is 0907-177-1985. Let's see if we can take one or two calls, but that will be after this short break. Please stay with us. This is Nigeria Watch. Thank you and welcome back to Nigeria Watch. We're still making a move on the show, and I have here in the studio with me Chief Barrister Okoi Obono-Obla. We brought you a report from the Guardian newspaper that the police on red alert in Lagos. ISWAP claims Zuma Rock attack on soldiers. We brought you that report that at the moment Lagos boundaries are under serious surveillance over alleged impending attack. 4 informants nabbed over Kuje jailbreak Abuja attacks. Of course, a lot of issues. Amotekun charges religious leaders, others on CCTV installation deadline in Ondo. We shall be taking some calls. The number is 0907-177-1985. But before we do that, we are going to be talking a little more about the issue of National Counterterrorism Center as promulgated by Chief Obono-Obla. What does that portend? Is it constitutional? And
it is constitutional. The law was enacted by the National Assembly of Nigeria, and it came into force in May 2022. What is the law? Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. And the National Assembly introduced 3 legislations that are interlinked. The Money Laundering Act 2022 and Process of Crime Management Act 2022, and these acts were in one package and were assented to by the president, and all the acts were intended to give more bites to the war against corruption and also the war against terrorism and also the financing of terrorism, because corruption is intertwined with terrorism, financing of terrorism. The terrorists need money. And they get money from corruption, woman trafficking, arms trafficking, crime. So because if you don't have money to buy weapons, you don't have monies to iron their machinery, they cannot move. So one of the ways of fighting terrorism is to cut off the terrorists from the illegal proceeds that comes from corruption, woman trafficking, arms trafficking, criminal syndicates.
At one time, the federal government came up with the list and said they know who the terrorist sponsors are.
Well, they should prosecute them.
They've not even named them.
Well, maybe for security reasons, that is why they didn't name them. But if they know them, they should go after them and prosecute them and take them out.
Okay, so we're moving ahead now. Let's take a look at what you're talking about. The other security agencies working together, having synergy.
Yes, exactly.
And putting information in one place.
That was one of the snacks against the fight against terrorism.
If government is aware that...
that is why the National Assembly passed that law, and made that law, enacted that law, and the law has been ascended to by the president. So the law is in force, and the law clearly provides for the establishment of the National Counter-Terrorism Center in the office of the National Security Advisor. And then that center is supposed to, one of the things that center is supposed to do was to establish a joint terrorism and Analysis Center. It's a fusion center for terrorism research, analysis, and intelligence support to all the law enforcement agencies, all the security agencies involved in the war against corruption and against terrorism and financing of terrorism.
One could also argue that these centers might be existing, like you said, without...
no, the center has not been established. And I don't know what they are waiting for, because the law is in force. The law came into force in May 2022 when the president signed the law. So the law is in force. And from May, we are in August. I don't know why that's center has not been established. I don't know why the national coordinator, because that center is supposed to have a national coordinator. I don't know why he has not been appointed, and I don't know why the center has not been established. It is up to the national security advisor to advise the president, do a memo to the president that in consonance with the provisions of the terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022, we have to establish this center. Okay. And I was talking about the functions of that center. Yeah. The second function is to establish a legal team. Okay. The legal team on terrorism research, analysis, and intelligence gathering, and also to appoint a team of competent and professional prosecutors to advise and review all cases coming from the law enforcement agencies on terrorism and financing of terrorism.
The question is, why would it take a government with such magnitude of problem as we're having today not to have the political will to institutionalize this body like you've said?
Well, I don't know, but maybe the Attorney General as well as a Christian or a national spiritual advisor. But I believe maybe they are in the process. As I said, the law was passed in May. Okay, and it came into force in May. So we are in August. It's less than 3 months. So hopefully, I believe they are doing something. Because it has to do with bureaucracy. You have to do a memo. It has to go around, and before action be taken.
How vulnerable are Nigerians? We're going into the 2023 elections. How vulnerable are we at this moment? You saw what happened in Kuje, and just a few days ago we had an attack at Zuba Junction.
Well, I have not.
When I say how vulnerable, like, what do Nigerians do to protect themselves?
Well,
because there seems to be nobody to be talking to.
Security is also the responsibility of the people. It calls for vigilance. The people have to be vigilant. The press, they have to be vigilant. They have to be, conscious of what is happening around them, around their environment. The Nigerians can be very, very reckless, can be very, very careless. So now we have to sit up, because we used to think that terrorism was, something that would never, happen in Nigeria. But from 2010 or 2008, we have seen that terrorists are here. So we need to adjust. We need also to help the government be watchful, provide intelligence to the government, or give them information.
Okay. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening and welcome to Nigeria Watch. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Chieftain. I'm calling from Abuja, Kubwa.
Okay, welcome to the show.
The terrorism in Nigeria is getting too much. I'm so tired of this stuff. Like, they attacked Kuje prison, and now they attacked Zuba. There's no security at all in Abuja. I'm trying to use this as a line to reach the government with like a group of people that will fight terrorism in Nigeria.
Thank you, Chijoke, for your contribution. We appreciate. Okay, the question now is,
let me finish. I was trying to make a point. Also, that legal team is to ensure that the law enforcement agencies comply with the rules of armed conflicts, because that is one of the problems. That is why you keep terrorists, detainees, they shouldn't keep them for so long. There should be expeditious prosecution, trials, of the suspects. But when you arrest them and keep them in prison and make those prisons vulnerable to attack, and jailbreaking is not peculiar with Nigeria. It's everywhere. These things are everywhere. Even I was talking about security. It's an international issue. It is a big international issue. We saw what happened in 2001 when America was attacked. It was unimaginable that a super war power, that the terrorists could, pierce through their security network and brought down, Pentagon, brought down planes, brought down the World Trade Center, 2 World Trade Centers in New York. We saw it, 2001, September.
Now, one of the concerns Nigerians would be asking is, what role is the government playing to ensure that Nigerians can, at one point, if they want to even make reports on issues of insecurity, they do not know where to go? Is this one of the responsibilities of the center?
The national center is also to create awareness.
But are we even sure that most of these things that are happening, maybe do Nigerians understand the fact that it's terrorism?
Well, maybe because that center...
Because we give it a different name, we are saying that they are bandits.
Well, banditry and terrorism are intertwined.
Okay.
What do the bandits do? They terrorize the people. Kidnap people, and keep them. So that is an aspect of terrorism. Because if you look at the definition of terrorism, it also includes banditry. And also even armed robbery could be an aspect of terrorism.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening. Please, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay, please, can you turn down the volume on your television set? Okay.
Okay, sir. You can hear me, sir?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah?
Yes.
What is happening in Nigeria? We are not going to the root of the problem. We are like somebody who wants to go to farm. So the grass, so to uproot the root before you do anything. So people, please, don't even deceive ourselves. Everybody knows who is the sponsor of all this problem in the country. Then they bring their name out and let they know they are probably made for us. Nigeria are suffering. They know our government is good. After they bring their name out, why they don't bring the name out, make everybody know who doing all this. Every day our gallant soldiers, our soldiers come because the person in hand of all these dirty people. They know everything. They know to do something. They can do something. Please make our government look up because it is too much for us. They want to go out in Abuja, fear. Everybody's fear. So please, make them do something, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. What's your name?
Please. My name is Robbie.
Okay, from Abuja. Let's go for another short break. When we come back, we'll continue with Chief Vice Okoi Obono-Obla. We'll take a critical look at some of the steps that should be taken to sensitize Nigerians on the need to be security conscious. Stay with us. This is Nigeria Watch. We'll be right back. Thank you and welcome back for joining us on Nigeria Watch. We are coming to you live from BRTV on your choice decoder TStv. We're taking a look at what would be like the effect of having a national counter-terrorism center in Nigeria. This could also help ameliorate, if not completely, help us to extinguish